Hello, welcome to the Beyond the Questions podcast, because every great conversation starts with a question. We're having real conversations about life with life coaches, and we are anticipating another great episode. So get ready and let's get started.
Welcome, everyone, back to Beyond the Questions, and it is great to be back with everybody today. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Yeah, we're here. We've made it.
All right. So it's great. It is spring, and that means we have crazy weather patterns. And since we're all over the country, there's a crazy weather pattern everywhere we go. So it's going to be a good day. Thanks for tuning in again. And before we dive into the real meat of our conversation today, I would love for each of our hosts today to just kind of share a moment where you felt like you were in a good rhythm in life. Like things were just kind of clicking and flowing and not perfect. I'm not looking for that perfect week, but where you felt like you had a rhythm. And just what'd that feel like? When was it? What caused it?
Yeah.
Share your stories.
Hey, Jason, are you talking about like the schedule of the week? Or are you talking like internally?
I'm talking about like you just felt like you were in a good flow. So could be the way the schedule lined up, but schedules often line up great and our rhythm isn't great, right? So,
Okay.
But this felt like as you went from place to place, you had a good flow.
I've questioned this before, and when I think about that question, it goes back to a time in my life where I felt like my rhythm and flow was going really well. I was working full time. My husband at the time was working full time. I felt like our schedule was really well. It managed well. The kids were doing well. So I thought. There was also an affair happening on the other side of that schedule. I thought like everything was going well. So it's an interesting question for me personally.
I hear that. Yeah.
So yesterday morning, I had a day where I had planned some rest in the morning to like recoup, get my mind set. And I realized in the midst of that, how important rhythm is. So I left, got everybody off to school, went to the gym. Even as I was driving to the gym, realized the pace at which I was driving was not the pace at which I normally drive. I was just kind of in a flow, felt good. I had things to do. And all through the morning, everything just clicked. Like I had given myself enough time in between meetings, things were going well. And I walked out of lunch yesterday like, I am the king of the world. This day just feels really good. And I don't have that kind of day often. Normally I'm racing. And so that realization in that moment just helped that rhythm feel really at ease and really healthy. Curious, Kellie, TQ, kind of where you're at in that process.
Man, I feel like my schedule these days is kind of crazy. I feel like I'm trying to do a lot and the day ends and there's only a little done. And so from that standpoint, I'm like, not so much. But when I worked out today, and when we're done with this, I will go on my walk that I typically do. And when those are in place, even if the day is like kind of, oh my goodness, whatever, like it could be a number of things. When I've got that going, like internally, I'm doing okay. And so even though the schedule is weird, the personal walk-in is like, okay, not the best of days, but I feel okay. And so, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think for me, similar to that, I think if I can start my morning, I have my morning routine. And if I can start my day with that morning, then I feel like I'm in a groove. And my day might totally implode as I go. But as long as I start it in a certain way, it just calms me and prepares me for what might come next. So yeah, I get up like an hour before I need to, just to have my own quiet time before the house gets going. And go to the gym, get ready for work. Yeah, I like my time. And if I get that, then I'm in my rhythm. I have a good rhythm.
What I hear in each one of those stories is that we're all still trying to figure this rhythm thing out, right? Like, I don't think any of us would say, oh yeah, I have a healthy rhythm and I live it every day, right? So I think rhythms are this topic is something that I wanted to talk about today because I feel like it's something that's practical to me, but I feel like it's practical to a lot of people I'm sitting and talking with too. So before we kind of dive in to the rest of that, I want to give each of the co-hosts a chance to just kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you love to work with. Ericka, we'll go back to you and let you go first.
Well, and I just do want to circle back just briefly, Jason. While that rhythm for me was good, it did get swept out from under me. And then it takes the work to realize that I had no control over that person's actions, right? Even though I had to work very, very hard, I was still in a good rhythm. I put that into place, right? Like I made those good rhythms happen. We're not going to talk about all the in between that takes longer, but I always like to throw you off too. So there's that. Speaking of what I do, because of my experience, I do really enjoy helping women who have been through traumas or relationship challenges and just being able to walk alongside of them as they're healing or growing or going through those changes.
What about you, TQ?
My name is TQ. I'm the owner and founder of TQ Coaching Solutions. And as someone who gets to sit with people who are kind of chasing their dreams, but finding fear, self-doubt, and action kind of getting in the way, I get the joy of being able to sit with them through that and to get to that next step. And so that's what I get to do, help people deal with fear, self-doubt, and inaction.
I'm Kellie Grutko. I am the founder and chief pivot officer of Purposeful Pivot. And my goal and mission really is just to help accomplished women really recognize and resolve what I call the hidden cost of success. So after success, maybe designing what your next chapter might look like without walking away from all the experience that you've built up through your life. So I try to help midlife women get through these transitions.
Awesome. And I'm Jason, owner and founder of Jason Roton Coaching. I love to work with emerging leaders who want to show up with emotional intelligence and lead with values through authenticity. I think a lot of leaders often, especially people getting put into new leadership roles, have an ideal of what they want, but then in practice, it doesn't always show up that way. And I want to help you show up the way you actually want to lead. So that's who I love to work with. So as we continue, and I think part of that showing up the way we want to show up is when we have this idea of a healthy rhythm. And one of the things I like about rhythm is it doesn't, at least in my mind, feel quite so structured. I don't know about you guys, but anybody ever feel like I have to do this thing and then the have to nature of it sucks the life out of it for you? Am I alone in that?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we make these rigid plans that then we feel like, oh, I'm just sucked in. I think rhythm can give us life. And I think when we're living in that rhythm or when we're living out of that rhythm, a full week that might look really meaningful, that might look really exciting on the outside of, we walk away from and we're just kind of empty or drained and it just didn't work out the way it was supposed to. Nothing was broken, but it just didn't give us life. So my question for today is, what kind of life are the daily rhythms we have creating? What kind of life is our daily rhythm creating? So as you think about those, what do you notice about yourself in seasons, either when you're walking in a rhythm or out of rhythm?
In rhythm feels easy, even if the circumstances that I'm dealing with aren't. There's a sense of flow. There's a sense of joy. Actually, I would even just joy, but I would even say hope. Like I get this sense that whatever's coming, there's gonna be something good about it. There's this I can see that I'm headed in a great direction, even if I don't even know where it's gonna end up. There's a sense of I can't wait to do what's next. And so that's when rhythm is going well. When it's not, it just feels like I'm running and I sigh a lot. That's what my family tells me. I know I'm not real loud about the things that are going on in my life, but they'll help me do a lot of right. And I'm like, that's a telltale sign that my rhythm's probably a little off or something's not going well because I just keep trying to breathe in something different, you know? So,
TQ, when you're in that space and you feel it begin to slip, like when you go from where it feels easy to you're starting to sigh,
mhm.
is it a pace that gets out of line for you? Is it priorities that get out of line? If you were to look at below the surface of what's causing that sigh, what is it that's bringing it out of you?
Man, it can be a number of things. Sometimes it's the pace, and some of the pace is not so much there's so many things, but it's my feeling like I have to get so much done. Like the pace may not even be quick, but my feeling about it is that I'm going, I gotta do this. And if that doesn't get done, who knows, what's gonna fall apart. And sometimes I've found that when life has brought me more than I can do, and I felt like I needed to do that thing and it didn't get done, I woke up the next day, and my world didn't fall apart. Like, what? I mean, it's supposed to be falling apart now. I felt it yesterday and I thought if it didn't get done, then what, I'm supposed to be done right now and I'm not. And so I think some of it has to do with how I'm approaching the to-do list or, certain people I'm interacting with, you name it. So,
Thanks for kind of digging into that a little bit.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think it's you're kind of in a good rhythm when you get to choose what you're doing that day, or it's kind of what you were saying, Jason. It's not what you have to do and what maybe somebody's told you to do, but you plan out your day and you focus. When it's out of sync or out of rhythm for me, it's when I don't know. I look at too many things. I think I need to be accomplishing them all. I can't focus. Then I get overwhelmed. And then my whole rhythm just goes to heck because I lose my focus. So I think being in rhythm means being focused on what you wanted to do, what you wanted to accomplish, and kind of putting barriers up so you don't let everything else, put you off course for the day. So I don't know. Or maybe it's just me and I'm always overwhelmed. So that could be it too.
Kelly, Kelly, I think it's interesting you said, "When I get to do what I wanna do," but then talked about all the other things that come in.
Yeah.
How do you keep what is it for you that keeps the barriers up? How do you keep those barriers up so you really get to focus in on what you wanna focus in on?
Yeah, well, that's where I struggle, to be honest, because I look at external factors, right? What somebody else is doing, what the new shiny object is, where, I should be doing that. Oh, I should be doing that. And it replays in my mind that I'm not doing enough. So it's hard to put up those barriers. Sometimes it's just, if I can get in a quiet room and it's on my calendar to do something and I can just shut everything out, then I can focus and get in that rhythm. But if I'm surrounded by just, if I've got too much open on my computer or I'm looking at social media or I'm watching what other people are doing, then I just go off course. I go off the rails. I don't know.
Oh, the social media trap, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else's highlight reel becomes the things we expect in our
Yeah,
day-to-day life, so it's
totally.
real though. I totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Erica, what about you?
And I'll briefly go back. Your original question was what kind of life or daily rhythms creating. And the funny thing that came to me was organized chaos and peace. I mean, right? I'm a single mom. I cannot always control what my children are doing. Like, even though, yes, I might plan a day, it is the ability to adapt and change and go with the flow of that day. I can even have a planned rhythm for the day. While if something changes, it's not always on me, but kind of on me to recognize, okay, this is a change. And now I have a choice of what I'm going to do with it. And then even taking it to the next step of showing my kids, like, okay, look, we planned for this, but because of this, maybe this can't happen. And so now we might have to do this or do this. And then also showing them, like what my reactions are. Sometimes it might be really hurtful and allowing myself to either grieve it or recognize it or even get angry about it for a moment in a healthy way and then go in the direction that whatever I might need to get done or I can't get done, but just allowing that like ability to adapt and change throughout the day. And it might change up my rhythm.
Ericka, I know you tease me all the time about wanting to sabotage where I'm headed in these podcast discussions. I want to put a pin in what you just said, and I want to come
Okay.
back to it because I think what you just described is, I think, one of the secret sauces to creating a healthy rhythm. So I want to come back to that ability to kind of let go of what you had planned and adapt as you went through. But so remind me if I don't come back to that, I want to come back to it. So when you think about healthy rhythm, is it our schedule that's dictating whether our rhythm is healthy or unhealthy? Or is it the way we're showing up inside of our schedule that's dictating whether that rhythm is healthy or unhealthy? Does that make sense?
I think it's how we show up. I mean, schedules will be schedules. There's always stuff to do, right? It's how you look at this stuff you have to do, how you frame it in your mind, how you prioritize it, and we control how we react to everything. So it's how we choose to manage our day and manage that schedule. So there'll always be a schedule. So I think it's how we adapt to it.
Yeah. I would say yes to your question, Jason, because like Kellie was saying, there is the schedule that just kind of keeps going, and sometimes things with out of your control jumps in there. But there have been times where the schedule has been in my control and I have packed it out way too much. You know what I mean? And generally from, I don't know, probably something internal that says, I got to get this done because whatever the because is, right? And some of those things were probably great to do. Some of them were not, but I've filled up the schedule to the point where there's no room for a reset. There's no room for me to look at the day and pause and take in what's going on, really seeing where I need to pivot, And so that's me showing up. You know what I'm saying? So there, I would say, yeah, it's both for me, because there are times where the day has been crazy and a bunch of things have come on me and I've been in a good place and it's been all right. And then there's been days where there's been like one thing that I had to do and I hated to do that thing and everything felt off, And so it's like, well, I'm bringing all the stuff to it and making it mess up. I guess that's what I'm saying.
So do you guys feel that off in the moment, or is it a post like evaluation for you that you feel the off of the rhythm when it's off?
I think it depends on the situation.
Say more.
Like, well, as TQ was describing, like that one thing I have to do that I hate. Most of us, and maybe I'm just speaking for me and people that I know, are going to try to do all these other things because we don't want to do that one thing. Because whether it's hard, we don't like to do it, all of this stuff. While when, like, sometimes we can recognize that, right? We're like, oh yeah, I'm putting that off because I don't want to do it. Or other times it's later, it's almost a reflection of something. Why did I feel this way today or earlier? And what was it? And it's like a sitting down and assessing oneself to figure out why I felt off.
Ericka, I want to come back to you for a minute because I think you say single mom, and there's probably a contingency of our audience that automatically goes, yep, that schedule's unsustainable, right? That schedule is fast paced. I often think, as a dad with 2 kids and married and a wife who's super supportive, I often wonder, how did my mom do it? Because she raised 2 boys on her own. And I'm like, man, she showed up to games. She was at things. How do you realize in that moment, with all that you're juggling, when your rhythm needs to pause or when you need to pause in the midst of all of that?
Well, that takes a lot of work
Yeah,
and a
for
lot
sure.
of time to
But
get there.
it seems like you were talking earlier, you've developed some kind of habit for that. So what's that look like?
And habits, I think that they do really change. And even I recognize, right, like I'm feeding into my kids, right, that I take it as a high responsibility, and in teaching them, in making them hopefully to become good adult individuals that are capable and able and all that stuff in the world when they leave me.
Right. The goal is they're out of the house by 18. That's my goal. That's what I tell my kids all the time.
Yeah, no, that's another conversation. While I frequently recognize, Jason, and you guys can probably hear this in my voice, I don't get fed into a lot, but that's just the nature of the season that I'm in. And even as of most recently, y'all know I actually wasn't even supposed to be recording today while my vacation with one of my best friends got canceled. And it really hurt. And I was able to still use that too as a teaching moment for my kids and be like, yeah, this hurts mommy. Yet I can get through it. And you see me crying, and then you see me trying to figure out either how this can't happen again or what I can do. But yes, deep down, that going back into like, it was something I was really looking forward to because just spending time with that person that really cares about me is a big deal for me. And I don't get to have it now. It's a learned thing though, right? Like it is fluid, it is constant. It's hard. It's really hard.
So what's it look like for you guys? So Ericka, that's a rough one, right? You didn't choose to cancel your vacation. Some external force caused that to happen, right?
Yes.
But there are moments where our rhythms feel so out of line. How do you guys reset that? Or what does that reset look like for you when you're moving at a pace that you're like, I can't keep this up, and you realize you have to reset?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? How do you give yourself space to navigate that?
While they're thinking, I am going to throw a funny one out there. We do this. There's two things that we do. We're like, we recognize either it's myself or my children. We go run. I kind of have a long backyard. I don't know if I've announced on here that I had moved, but we go run back and forth in the yard for a little bit. Just like barefoot running. Or sometimes we just literally scream out loud just to get that energy out
That's awesome.
and then try to reset.
Do you have neighbors?
Yes. Oh, I'm sure they think I'm crazy. I am sure they think I'm crazy.
Oh, TQ, you're in my head. Now we're starting to think alike. That's scary.
Sure, that's awesome though.
As long as you're not chasing the children, Ericka, I think you'll be safe. As long as you're running first and they're behind you, everything should be fine.
No, just the 70-pound puppy's chasing them right now.
With a snake in its mouth, probably.
Man, I will say to your question, Jason, I am trying to Sabbath. And for those, that's a religious term for setting a day aside for not doing work. I have found as I've started to develop this life coaching business that the day-to-day, like it's hard to get away from it. Before, when I went to an office outside of my house and there were coworkers and we had meetings and schedules and I did that thing there, then I went home and it was a little easier to turn it off, not always. Here, I'm like, just my brain just wants to keep thinking through the stuff, right? And so even this past Sunday, I was like, okay, I am not working today. And especially early in the day, my mind just kept wanting to go back. But if you just think through this, or just, you don't even have to sit at your computer, just run this scenario in your mind. And I felt like I was literally fighting with my mind and myself going, stop it. We got to stop. It'll be ready for us on Monday, since it was a Sunday. And if we don't stop, we are going to collapse. That fuse is going to run out real quick. And so that's the thing that I've started to put in place, and I've just really begun. So I'm not saying that I'm like a master at this at all. I'm just going, I have been finding that, especially as an entrepreneur now, that if I don't make an effort and if I don't fight for that, then my schedule is going to run me into the ground, So.
Hey, TQ, can I go back to something you just briefly said about when you worked outside of the home? It was a little easier. Did you recognize at that point that maybe that was part of your rhythm, that the drive, the commute, where you had that time alone to yourself to kind of decompress?
A little bit. I mean, my drive back when I was recently working wasn't very long, but there was something about leaving the desk, leaving the building, and going, okay, it's time to turn that off. The computer might have stayed there, or, that stuff was done until the next day. And I was part of this organization that was it had things and rhythms of its own. And so I could just kind of fit in that rhythm, I think is the thing that was most advantageous for me at that point. Now I'm creating the rhythm. I'm the organization that has to figure out what the rhythm is going to be. And so I can't just fit into it. And the nature of trying to get things done, trying to see that this thing takes off, be the responsible one in the family, all those are narratives that keep me running the hamster wheel, right? It keeps me just going, okay, but I've got to do this and I've got these responsibilities and I've got to blah, 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 right? And so I've got to learn that, yeah, you do have responsibilities, but man, you're not even going to touch them if you're all spent, chaotic, can't think straight, burnt out. And so you have to make that, like, it's not, stopping isn't doing nothing. It's actually preparing myself for more. It's actually setting myself up for success. And so just needing to give a different narrative about why I'm doing what I'm doing and how to really get there.
Welcome to entrepreneurship, right? We're
Yeah.
all new entrepreneurs. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's the big learning curve, is that your mind just doesn't stop,
It's a
especially at
fancy
night.
French
Does
word for doing the
Prosecco
hard work
count as
yourself.
an answer?
Does Prosecco count?
Does Prosecco count as an answer? Probably not. For me, maybe, I don't know. For me, I kind of need a day too. I need a day off, and just sometimes I'll just veg on the couch and watch a movie and just get totally like engrossed in something different. Because like you said, like you said, it's like when you work out a muscle, right? You need a day off because the day off is the day that your muscle actually builds when you're not working it. And the same thing for us is, if you work, you need days off because that's where you start to grow and that's where you get creative because you've let your mind rest. So I think it's very similar. I think you need to take time for yourself, walk away from it. I was the same thing too when I went to the office. I mean, I had a 2-hour commute each way, so boy, did I have time to kind of get a rhythm going. And then when I left the office, yeah, you'd still get, you still get emails, you still get calls and all that on the weekend, but yet you were still kind of away from it and detached. And I was 2 hours away from that office, so they couldn't, walk in the room and get me. So that definitely was different, and it's a learning curve to kind of now be the only person that's in your business running the rhythm. So yeah, so there might be a glass or two of Prosecco involved in there.
So one of the things that's interesting is as we talk about this, we have been very heavily towards work rhythms and rhythms of work. I'm curious if you were to take it from a whole life perspective. So, right, and this is the dangerous part, right? We can all get on Facebook and watch some reel or TikTok and watch a reel about you need to sleep 8 hours a day. You need to drink 8 glasses of water a day. You need to eat your body weight in protein, in grams of protein. You need to do all these things, right? And all of a sudden, we're exhausted from trying to do all the things we're supposed to do. How do we give ourselves space to create not work that's a healthy rhythm, but life that's a healthy rhythm? Or a healthy rhythm to all of life. I'll give you an example because I can see you guys are thinking about it. So one of the things, I woke up Saturday morning and I was like, I need to go to the gym today. Haven't been in a couple days. I need to get to the gym. Where I was, it was like 55 degrees, super crisp. It felt like a fall day. I was like, I do not want to move. My wife came downstairs. She's like, hey, we going to the gym? I'm like, yeah, eventually we'll get there. Made a second cup of coffee and just gave myself space to say, what I need today is not one more cardio exercise or one more rep. What I need is to enjoy a meal with my family. And so we had breakfast. And I was able to give myself enough grace to not sit in that moment and be like, man, should have went to the gym. Such a slacker. I don't know how I'm going to, even if I eat all my protein today, I'm probably going to gain 3 pounds because I ate breakfast and I didn't go get on the treadmill, right? And we tell ourselves these lies in our head, but what if we began to just pause and listen and create lives around rhythm? And so I'm curious what you think about a rhythm for life, not just a rhythm for work?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think it comes down to boundaries, right? Making sure you know what your boundaries are, what you say no to, what you're involved in that makes you happy and brings you joy. And sometimes it's hard to do, right? Because everybody wants a piece of you. You feel guilty if you're not doing things. So a lot of it's, I think, our culture too. It's just a fast-paced world. Like I think I should have been born like Little House on the Prairie days, where it was just very simple and honest, and with the flow. But yeah, I think a lot of it's kind of our ability to just choose what you want to do, and sometimes that's hard. But I think you have to consciously make decisions that can keep your whole life in balance.
Jason, I know what you're talking about in that, like, waking up, we think we have this rhythm, and then also recognizing, right, that, hmm, well, maybe I might even feel that I need the gym, but looking beyond yourself, like, what do my kids need today? Do they need me to go to the gym today? Does my spouse need me to go to the gym today and do what we do every day? Or do we need to create some space to be present with each other, eat breakfast, read an article, or like, sure, if TV is your thing and you haven't watched TV in a long time, do that too, but just sit face to face and talk. Go sit outside if it was a little warmer and enjoy that cup of coffee. And I think it goes back to that, like, practiced recognition of knowing yourself, recognizing, sure, I could say, yep, I have the schedule. If I work out, I do this, right? I'm always meeting my markers. But if I don't pay attention to these other things, where's that going to get me?
You ask a good question, Jason, when you talking about life, how to have a good rhythm to life. And so I think it comes, as I've been pondering your question, I'm just thinking it's coming down to, for me, what is my story or my narrative of a good life look like? You mentioned, you just went, I need to have breakfast with my family. And so I'm assuming in your narrative, that's a piece of a good life, right? And so if I'm really considering what is the narrative of a good life, my wife and I are connecting every day. I'm checking in with my kids, whether it's on the phone, one's in college, or just around the house. I've taken time to reset, go on those walks that I talked about. I'm actually getting some work done because it's important for me to be able to go, man, I was productive today. Like that feels good to me to be able to sit back and go, man, I did some really good work today. And so if I'm if I'm living that narrative, then I think, or at least even if I don't live it all the time, because sometimes you can't do all the things, but I'm moving towards it, and that's where my priorities are, then um I'm able to sense that things are more balanced. I'm able to sense that there's a good rhythm. The problem is for me is that my narrative often goes to not what's a good life look like, but what does a responsible life look like? Where I got to get all the things done. Or, what, yeah, I'll just say responsible because that's one of the things that drives me a lot. And for other people, maybe other things. But when I go down the responsibility route, I almost always get weary because it always feels like weight. But if I go down the narrative of good life, like my kids are my responsibility, but that's not how I'm viewing the relationship with them or I'm viewing the relationship with my wife. It's, man, this is what a good life looks like. And so I'm going to pursue that. And even if I don't reach it and it's not the most immaculate day, I'm still pursuing it. And that's a good thing. I think that's how I would tell.
TQ, can I pick on you for a minute?
Pick on me.
It's interesting because I think every one of us could choose a word, right? You chose responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We could all choose a word like that and then realize we're living completely hypocritically to that word. Because the truth is, with such focus towards responsibility, you're being irresponsible towards your own self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that, and I think that's when I get at rhythm, that's what rhythm eliminates from me. When I can keep myself in a headspace of rhythm, I begin to have grace for myself that allows me to eliminate the hypocrisy that structure and routine create. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was really hard to choose to stay home on Saturday morning, but I didn't feel guilty about it. I didn't feel like after I did it, it just felt like I'll get to the gym tomorrow. It's really not that big a deal, right? Or I'll get to that to-do list tomorrow. It'll be there. And all of a sudden I got to authentically live into what I value, as opposed to this structure that forces me to not live into what I value. And so I think about that when I think about rhythm. I'm curious, if you were to think about rhythm of a good life or a healthy rhythm, really I want to think healthy, not good, a healthy rhythm for your life, what's present in that for you? What has to be present in your rhythm for you to say, this is a good rhythm?
I think that's a really big question. And I think it depends on different seasons of life. Like when you say what, my mind immediately transfers it to who. And while I do love spending time with people, I also recognize I need time with myself. Like just that peace of being with myself, whether that be sitting alone like I did the other day, out drinking my coffee in the sun, or going for a run with my dogs, while I also enjoy time scheduled in with other people, with family, with friends. So I think it is a very like it's a large question, right? And I think it comes in these words like seasons, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying by that, right? Like I think in my 20s, it was quite different, you know? And when I had two toddlers, it was quite different. And it just kind of changes. But if we can continually assess that and continually kind of see what we need to be living within that good, healthy space, then that's when we're living the healthy rhythm.
Ericka, does what you need at your core change, or does the way you live out that need change?
Again, that takes a lot of working through like that, like even childhood trauma or wounds or things and recognizing. And it was a few podcasts ago where TQ talked about, right, how he was like, well, I got to do this. I got to prove that I am this. But he recognized like where that was coming from. So I think it takes a lot of internal work to get to these places. And I think it can change. I think the only thing about change, right, like, is that it's always changing, right? As much as we don't want it always, change happens frequently. So I don't like in this time that we have here, I don't think I have time to answer that question fully.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
If I'm going to answer it, I think I would go, I need space to produce, like to do stuff that I think is valuable. I need space to relate, and that's to people and so forth. I need space to recreate, and I need space to just pause. I think if I have those how many things did I say? Four? Four things. I think if I have those four things in whatever season I'm in, then I think I'm in a healthy rhythm. Yeah. Space to produce, relate, recreate, and pause.
That is a loaded question. I think I agree with Erica, though. I think it changes. Like, I think anything that brings you joy and happiness and what you do that gets you there, from family to friends to, when I was younger, what brought me, that rhythm was working and climbing the ladder, and I was in a rhythm, and I knew what I wanted. I had goals. And then now it's a different season of my life and my goals have changed. So different things bring me happiness now. Now that whole climbing the ladder thing is not like that's not even on my radar now. So I think it changes. Your rhythm changes throughout your life. But I look back too and I think, okay, what's my legacy? And if I'm doing things that I think would be a good legacy, that people think of me as the, kind person that brought joy to their lives, then I think, you can only strive to try to create the best legacy you can. And that creates the rhythm, trying to strive for that.
Well, I want to thank each of you for showing up real and authentic today and for the conversation. I want to leave our listeners with that question. It has to be in place for you to live a healthy rhythm. I'd encourage you to think about that. If you have responses, we'd love to see it in the comment section. And one of the things I keep coming back to, and I want us to be intentional about thinking about, is the truth is we're not just living our lives. Our rhythms are forming who we're becoming. Rhythms we allow to form and to create pace and priorities in our lives are going to form who we become. And so the really deep question for today is, who are you becoming? And is that who you really want to become? And so beyond the questions, we'll let you sit with those things. It has been a joy to be with you. And just a quick reminder, we've heard from Ericka today, who coaches women through trauma and relationship challenges. We've heard from TQ, who helps entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators overcome fear, doubt, and inaction and move forward on a path that feels real to them and their goals. And we've heard from Kellie, who helps accomplished women leaders recognize and resolve the hidden cost of success. And so I just want to thank each of you. My name is Jason. I love working with emerging leaders who want to really lead through values and emotional intelligence. It's been an honor to be with you today. Thanks for tuning in. If you've gotten anything out of this, we would love if you'd share this on any of your social media platforms and give us a follow. We appreciate the audience we have. Thanks so much and have a great week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond the Questions. Be sure to subscribe so that you can stay up to date concerning future episodes. And if you would like to connect with any of the hosts on Beyond the Questions, their contact info is linked in the description below. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on the next episode of Beyond the Questions.